Disventure Camp Season 4 Carnival of Chaos is my favorite season of Disventure Camp. Its focus on strategy made it very fun to try to solve what would happen next, and it was exciting to discuss in the breaks between episodes. Its cast is fantastic, and the challenges are enjoyable to watch. Or most of them anyway. It would not only be my highest praised season of DC, but also ranked higher than any season of total drama, if not for one thing: the ending. The writing took some questionable turns after Spencer's elimination, but no season of anything is perfect. Unfortunately, these flaws not only became more frequent, but also more severe during the final five. It came to a head during the finale, one of the worst episodes in TDDC history. While I still enjoy the Motel and Jury episodes, and the Bumper Cars Challenge in the Final Four is fun, I have no defense for the finale. I struggle to find any good things to say about it. It's a real shame the ending was fumbled so badly because the season up until then was stellar. The final five contestants are the best in-game cast of characters DC has ever had. All of them had paths to victory that could be entertaining, reasonable, and fit a narrative. Well, except for Isabel. She definitely had slim to none chances of winning, but she's one of DC's best characters and is in my personal top 5 list of DC characters ever, so I still would have been happy to see her win. Because of this, I wanted to come up with a rewrite of the last 5 episodes in order to give Isabel a narratively satisfying victory. After discussing with other writers, reading comments left by fans, and adding my own thoughts to the mix, I've deduced that some of the main reasons the ending failed so badly is that multiple plot points were built up but never delivered. Most central ones being that the Anastasia versus Isabel rivalry is never given a conclusion. These two women were at each other's throats for so long just for Jade to eliminate Isabel. While Anastasia helped the blind side, the move, plot-wise and in universe, is credited to Jade. Anastasia and Isabel don't make up, and neither truly triumph over the other. In fact, the last time I remember them speaking is Anastasia asking to be healed during the D&D challenge. It contributes to Isabel's elimination feeling anticlimactic. The next missed mark is probably the most common frustration shared among viewers, and it's the fact that Logan never has a comeuppance for his constant flipping. He betrays his friends endlessly, but no character ever seems to care. Even Anastasia, the most paranoid contestant and feared by all for her relentless pursuit of anyone who crosses her, not only forgives Logan instantly, but allows him to win immunity without a fight. From there, he proceeds to win the season, and Zayd, the character who holds grudges the second most, also forgives Logan. Logan owns up to his decisions during the D&D challenge, which is a great moment for his character, so let's ignore that he goes back on this, but he never has to own the consequences that should go along with those decisions. Oh yeah, and he shacks up with Hannah in the Final Four, and it's a romance that's so unearned. Another subject related to Anastasia is how her attitude in the game acted as a foil to Hannah's. In the beginning, Hannah was social and friendly, while Anastasia was vicious and closed off. Halfway through the season, as Anastasia begins to open up more, Hannah, in contrast, grows more callous. It's an interesting juxtaposition between characters that might not be expected for, but it's never given the emphasization it needs. Even in Hannah's elimination, it's neat that if Hannah and Logan stuck together like they promised to, they would have both been safe from elimination, reflecting the prisoner's dilemma, but it lacks weight. The last topic. These two. Jade is one of my favorite characters, and I like Anastasia too, but there's viewers who have dubbed them Jade GPT and Overstasia because Jade seems robotic, allegedly only talking about strategy, and Anastasia seems to not have much to do after Marissa gets fridged for her for the second time. I don't agree with either of these stances on the characters, but I do acknowledge there was missed opportunity to make them more well-rounded. For Jade, back in the comeback challenge, Benji asks her to promise to open up more, and again in the jury, Benji asks to know the real her, yet she remains closed off and guarded both times. The finale would have been the ultimate moment for Jade to come out of her shell, but she never does. Anastasia too was warned early on not to let her paranoia consume her, so if there was a moment she do or die had to place her trust in someone, she could have a complete arc. She either heeds Linda's warning or takes a path that ends in her own self-destruction. Now, I wouldn't expect Disventure Camp's writers to hit all of these points. Anastasia, for example, has been given a second chance to compete in fans versus favorites, and maybe that's where her arc will finish. All of her development was off-screen, yay! However, for DC4 to hit none of these plot beats makes the finale feel extremely weak. So with the goalposts constructed, I'd like to share my revisions for how Isabel could win Disventure Camp Season 4 Carnival of Chaos. This right here is the moment of no return when the season dies, but my first change would be for Isabel to survive her encounter with the Mimic. Whether or not the party loses its healer doesn't actually affect the chain of events that much, because Jade gets one shot. That wasn't healable. And the next time the party sustains injuries is when they're fighting each other, so even if Isabel was there, she'd have little to no reason to heal them anyway. If the Mimic lunges at Isabel, but Jade kills it before it eats her, we keep the free run joke while also preserving Isabel's presence in the challenge. We'd also get an additional visual gag of Isabel jumping off the cliff with her hands together praying. In the throne room is when hell breaks loose. Hannah exposes Logan's betrayal to Anastasia, and like normal, Logan owns up to it. This game requires hurting people, so he's not ashamed. However, that also means you need to be ready to be hurt back. Instead of Anastasia handing Logan immunity on a silver platter, it fits her character at this point way more to go berserk, appropriate for her class. But, like she said before, she's not a tool whose paranoia is meant to be exploited. Hannah is not off the hook either,
Has a semblance of strategy, but it fails her often.
and she too is Anastasia's target. In fact, Hannah probably dies first, since archers are lacking in HP and defense and struggle to counterattack enemies within one space of range. In the commotion, Isabel finds a tome and learns that while she has no combat abilities of her own, she can summon angels to do her fighting for her. I admit this is total headcanon, but come on, I'm an SMT player. You can't have an RPG without the summoner archetype. Clerics in D&D typically do have a wide list of summoning spells, such as Spirit Guardians, Guardian of Faith, and Planar Ally. They even have access to Animate Dead, meaning Isabel could revive Hannah and Logan to fight as her soldiers. I think it makes sense for Isabel's character too, since her religion and occupation both involve the masses following one entity. Her insistence on the Girls' Alliance also implies that she knows their strength in numbers. This provides a contrast with Anastasia, whose worldview dictates that she has to do everything herself for herself. Everything she strives for, she tries to do with as little assistance as possible. She's a one-woman army in a war against an army for one woman, Isabel. A clash of this magnitude would add so many points towards the Isabel versus Anastasia rivalry. If either of them had to be eliminated next, at least they went out with a bang in this battle for immunity. And in this timeline, after a never-ending Raging Storm combo, Anastasia finally reaches Isabel and shatters her staff. Whether or not Anastasia kills Isabel is up to you. What matters is that she's defenseless. There's nothing left in Anastasia's path to the throne. She takes her seat and earns a hard-fought immunity. After the challenge, the final five disperse to discuss who to eliminate. For starters, although Jade considers it, she does not settle on betraying Isabel with the steal a vote advantage. She crunched the numbers and ran the data through all possibilities. In the original timeline, she eliminated Isabel because she was too popular, only making enemies out of a few players. While that is true, Isabel is the only member of the final five with that many enemies. In a jury vote against Isabel, Jade is guaranteed to get Benji's, Spencer's, and Amelie's votes because they like her, respect her gameplay, or both. Isabel is guaranteed to get Natalia's and Richard's votes. Now because Isabel has enemies, even if begrudgingly, Jade would also get Marissa's and Zayd's votes. That's the five she needs. If Anastasia or Logan are eliminated, they would also be inclined to vote for Jade over Isabel. Hannah could go either way, and Logan might vote for Isabel if he somehow learns about what happened during the Pirate Challenge, but that won't matter. Isabel's tiebreaker stunt killed her chances at winning a jury vote against most players, and Jade and Anastasia would know that. Logan and Hannah might not know that, but they know they're popular players and could win a jury vote against almost anyone. This realization turns Isabel into a GOAT. While yes, she is the greatest of all time, in Survivor terminology, a GOAT is someone players take with them into the jury because he or she has no chances of winning it. Jade would try to implement this strategy, especially since it means she doesn't have to eliminate her friend with the advantage her friend helped her get. Logan and Hannah are the two much bigger social threats, and they need to be targeted while they're still vulnerable. Keep one now, and you may have to split your votes between them in the final four, and one of them is still guaranteed to be in the final three. Jade is more aligned with Logan, and Hannah is Jade's biggest jury threat. Only against Hannah does Jade not get Benji's vote, and she knows this. So Jade and Isabel approach Logan and try to convince him to vote out Hannah. He agrees. Anastasia, on top of the world and sick of nuns, convinces Hannah to vote Isabel. Any target is fine with Hannah, she's sick of the game. They take this plan to eliminate Isabel to Logan, and again he agrees. Logan has found himself in the middle, a tale as old as time. He'll have to flip on one of his friends. Jade is not blind to how Logan plays the game. You can strategize with people who support you, you can plan around people who are against you, but you can't prepare for people who are random. Anastasia still shows Jade the turtle nesting grounds in this timeline. When Jade tries to return to the turtle nest to think, Isabel offers to come with her, but Jade tells her she'd rather be alone. Even though she intends to take Isabel to the jury for an easy win, she's still frustrated that her alliance members perpetually throw wrenches in her well-crafted plans. It's difficult to count on them not to sabotage themselves or her, who's always the one who has to clean up the mess.
Untargeted for that tiebreaker.
In the elimination ceremony, Jade announces she'll be using her steal a vote advantage. She takes Logan's. She'll turn his inconsistent vote into one she can count on. First vote, Isabel. Second vote, Isabel. Third, Logan. Fourth, Logan.
One vote left.
14th person voted out of Disventure Camp.
Logan Bell. Even though Hannah was the bigger social threat, Logan was a bigger physical threat while also being a major social threat. But more important than either of those, he couldn't be relied on. I think Logan would accept his elimination in stride, knowing his previous betrayals finally got up to him. Eliminating Logan here also stops Logana from happening in the Final Four if you're someone invested in shipping, and it also prevents his arc of owning up to his decisions from being derailed. It gives Logan a satisfying comeuppance and conclusion to his story. The next episode takes place in the motel, and there's very little Logan being there instead of Isabel changes. We unfortunately lose the joke of Isabel campaigning for Jade to win everywhere she goes. In the panel of peers, Logan likely praises Anastasia's and Hannah's gameplay the most. Jade too, if he really isn't bitter about the blind side.
Now let's get to it and start with the most attractive contestant.
Natalia glazes Isabel to high heaven, and Spencer and Donnelly acknowledge that she's played a great game in the shadows. She's always been in the majority when voting, and the Marissa-Anastasia tiebreaker required her to patiently hold on to an idol for who knows how long. However, that tiebreaker was when she publicly got blood on her hands for the first time, and quite a few campers aren't happy with that, notably Marissa, Zayd, and Logan. Linda thinks it was hype, reminding her of when she blindsided Marissa herself, and since she watches these shows, she and any other statistician know that Isabel has the longest challenge win streak in Disventure Camp. When she shares this, Richard and Logan are likely the most impressed, and Natalia would take the opportunity to poke fun at Spencer for having the longest loss streak. Episode 24 introduces the bumper cars challenge. Isabel's card is black and white, maybe black and gold, and has a cross on it. She's very excited to get behind the wheel. The challenge itself plays out quite differently without Logan. Jade isn't teaming with Anastasia, but instead with Isabel. It doesn't need to be spoken, both Jade and Isabel are aware that Hannah can't win. If she wins immunity here, there's no stopping her from sweeping the jury. When the challenge begins, Isabel drives like a maniac, and Hannah gets the early lead. Hey, Logan isn't there to teach Anastasia how to drive the cart, so she stays stuck for a while. Hannah farms points off of Anastasia's static vehicle, and Isabel is ecstatic to do so as well. Jade informs Isabel to go for Hannah instead. Hannah immediately recognizes she's being targeted, and although she evades them for a while, her point gain is too slow. Jade and Isabel will make a slow and steady comeback at this rate. She swerves in a way that causes Isabel and Jade to crash into each other, giving her an opportunity to speak to Anastasia. In exchange for helping Anastasia learn how to drive the cart, Hannah wants Anastasia to help fend off Jade and Isabel, and should Hannah win immunity, she'll vote with Anastasia. Both of them are cold and untrusting at this point. Hannah isn't quick to offer the terms, and Anastasia hesitates to accept, but for either of them to stand a chance, they need to trust each other. Anastasia seals the deal, and once she gains control of her vehicle, finds great joy in smashing into Isabel. She accumulates points fast, but Hannah starts to have fun with the 2v2 bumper cars and just narrowly wins. Hannah pops off and almost offers a fist bump to Anastasia, but she remembers what game she's playing and reels it back in. At night, only a little while before the elimination ceremony, Anastasia spots Isabel trying to start a fire. Isabel shares that she's practicing for the tiebreaker challenge, which is typically fire making in Survivor. Anastasia reveals that Isabel has nothing to worry about. She's not tonight's target. Isabel's confused. She fully expected Anastasia and Hannah to work together to eliminate her due to her grudge. Anastasia clarifies by exposing the GOAT strategy. Isabel has always been the player in the final five who understood the jury the least, so this revelation hits her like a truck. To put salt in the wound, Anastasia adds that Jade is also attempting to use Isabel as a GOAT. Isabel is astonished, but it sinks in that she still doesn't know a lot about Jade. As close of friends as she thought they were, Jade is still closed off around her, like back with the Turtles. At the elimination ceremony, only Isabel and Anastasia look nervous. Jade maintains her poker face, and Hannah is immune. Although Anastasia is confident she can beat both Jade and Isabel in a tiebreaker, she still doesn't fully trust Hannah to hold up her end of the bargain.
First vote, Anastasia. Second vote, Jade. That's one vote, Jade. Fifth vote, Jade.
Fourth vote, eliminated from the competition, Jade. Let it be known that it pains me to write a reality where Jade doesn't win. Of the final five, she's my favorite to win. However, if she is to lose before the finale, I think it should be because of the one weakness in her gameplay: she's too impersonal. Her elimination here at the hands of Isabel could be a moment where Jade's true colors begin to crack out of her shell. What are those colors? It's impossible to know for sure because DC4 never fully unveils them. What we do know about Jade is that she's the most fired up when people sabotage her. She threw her strategy away for a moment just to grief Anastasia when she dropped that bombshell about the pirate challenge. But we also know from the finale that Jade doesn't rage when she loses. So, after being eliminated by someone she thought was her friend, Jade wordlessly boards the boat of losers, but her bitter expression does all the talking for her. She's gravely hurt by Isabel's betrayal, but more than that, she's upset at herself for not being good enough to win. It's not her fault. Disventure Camp has a trend of eliminating its best players in the final four. If Isabel was confronted by Jade or anyone else for how willing she was to betray her, Isabel justifies her gameplay by claiming it's for the Lord. Jade may want to save the turtles, but Isabel has a noble cause too. She also needs to win, by any means necessary. Episode 25 in the original timeline has Emily introduce a new twist because Jade, Anastasia, and Logan were too buddy-buddy with each other. Hannah and Anastasia are warming up to each other in this timeline, but they're still mostly guarded, and Isabel still being around means that Emily has no need to pour gasoline on this dumpster fire. But if Emily does it anyway, Hannah and Anastasia would outwardly agree to give the disadvantage to Isabel. If she loses the challenge, either of them should be able to stomp her in a jury vote. However, in the confessionals, Anastasia reveals that even though she'll give the disadvantage to Isabel, she still wants to win immunity for herself, guaranteeing a spot in the finale and making Isabel's loss to Hannah and the jury decisive and humiliating. Hannah confesses that she actually wants to give the disadvantage to Anastasia. Anastasia would be a bigger threat to compete against in the finale, and the jury is the last chance to eliminate her. When the votes are read, Anastasia receives the disadvantage instead of Isabel in a 2-1 vote. It irritates Anastasia, but her partnership with Hannah was coming to its end date anyway. Besides, being seen as a threat is a compliment to her physicality. It also means that during the challenge, she doesn't have to hold back against either of them. When the challenge commences, Isabel is the first target of Anastasia's sabotage. She reminds Isabel of Jade, making her drop her phone. Isabel yanks off her cross necklace, cough, this is symbolic cough, and throws it at Anastasia as she plummets, knocking the phone out of her hands. After that, there's no more replacement phones, which Anastasia is happy to hear. Since she's not a model nor an influencer, Hannah struggles in the challenge even without being sabotaged. But right when she's about to take the picture properly, Anastasia pulls on her bungee cord, resulting in her dropping her phone and being unable to finish the challenge. If Hannah can't win immunity, she has to execute Isabel during the jury. Seeing this, Isabel, at the last second, hurls her last phone to Hannah, who catches it and snaps the required selfie right before hitting the ground. Hannah wins immunity. Hannah is excited for achieving another immunity win, and Isabel is relieved she won't be competing against Hannah in the jury. Even Anastasia can find contentment in this outcome, The most detrimental thing would have been for Isabel to win. Isabel and Anastasia make eye contact, knowing that tonight there's no way out for one of them. The fracturing of the girls' alliance, the Natalia elimination, the bidding war, the Marissa tiebreaker, the D&D battle, and every petty moment they tried to get under the other's skin was all building to this. In the confessionals, Anastasia's far more confident about it than Isabel, but they both admit that being the reason the other is eliminated will bring them great pleasure. Truth be told, Anastasia mogs Isabel in her jury vote. She gets Richard's, Marissa's, Zade's, and Logan's votes without a doubt, and she's more likely than Isabel to receive Benji's and Amelie's votes too, especially in this timeline where Anna and Hannah had a small kinship brewing. However, Isabel can turn that advantage against itself. During the jury phase, Isabel can call attention to her exemplary strategy, which is sure to earn Spencer's vote, and she has Natalia's by default. At the same time, even if speaking the words disgusts her, she needs to highlight Anastasia's overwhelming strength. The thing about having a jury in the final three instead of as the finale unintentionally alters the stakes. You aren't voting who you want to win the season, you're voting who you want to compete in the finale, which isn't the same. If Isabel convinces Benji and Amelie that she's easier to beat than Anastasia, helping Isabel survive the jury has the side effect of giving Hannah a better shot at winning the million overall. This, in addition to Isabel having good strategic gameplay, could potentially earn Amelie's vote, and Benji could be swayed by Isabel's active heroism in the Final 3 challenge, which allowed Hannah to win in the first place. Isabel's not a bad person, but she's willing to do or say whatever it takes for her noble cause, and nobody would understand that better than our tiebreaker, Jade. This is another opportunity for Jade's personality to shine through. She may have lost, but seeing Isabel's eyes plead for her support reminds her that she didn't lose completely. She still formed friendships that she'll treasure even outside the game, and perhaps forgiving Isabel for her betrayal was worth it so her friend can pursue her goals. I'd like to imagine that Jade would vote for Isabel to win, and if Benji needs an extra nudge since Isabel did orchestrate his elimination, Jade could whisper it to him in the stands. It's a stretch for sure, but if the stars align, Isabel can narrowly defeat Anastasia in the jury vote. Anastasia would be devastated. Losing is one thing, losing to the wretched nun is another. What surprises her most is Jade's willingness to forgive, and Zade's. Her motto the whole time was if anyone ever crosses her, they have to be cut off. But refusing to ever forgive can permanently burn bridges with people who ultimately want to support you. Anastasia can walk away from the jury with a lesson that coincides with her fans versus favorites portrayal, becoming less self-reliant and more open to not only helping others, but letting others help her. So we arrive at the finale, Isabel Carboni versus Hannah Roxas. We've hit most of the major goals of reinventing the DC4 ending. Logan had his comeuppance, Anastasia and Isabel's rivalry had a climactic finish, Jade's had more opportunities to share her personality, and Anastasia's lack of trust in people was addressed. I admit that the parallels between Hannah and Anastasia might not have been given enough emphasis, but that'd be easier to do in a timeline where either of those two are the destined winner. So to rectify that, when the time comes for Isabel and Hannah to receive their helpers, instead of only one assistant, they'll get two. The catch is that the helpers aren't volunteering, they're chosen by random wheel. Isabel rolls Jade first so that Jade has even more time to show the world that she's not a robot. And despite praying to roll Natalia next, Isabel's second helper is Spencer. Why? Because shipping fan service between him and Isabel. Who said that? Ooh. Hannah rolls Anastasia first so those two can interact more and rekindle their friendship. Hannah's next roll gives her Benji or Logan. Both serve the same purpose and what will come later. One of the many problems in the finale is that the characters will stop and talk despite being in a race, which kills all momentum. They have no sense of urgency. All discussion needs to be on the move. Isabel has fun working with Jade again to complete the challenges, but Jade's not fully on board. She may have forgiven Isabel, but she hasn't forgotten her betrayal, and it's going to take more than puppy dog eyes to wholly heal the wound. She needs to be honest. They get the chance to bury the hatchet while Spencer drives the ambulance. The pair have a heart-to-heart about goals in a mostly private setting that they didn't have the privilege of during the jury phase. In it, Isabel offers to split the million with Jade if they win. Jade's surprised. Isabel has been so committed to her ends justify the means mindset these last stretch of episodes. Isabel reveals that yes, she is doing everything for her cause, but first and foremost, she's doing it because she likes it. She enjoys it. She has fun playing this game of deception. It's who she is, and she likes that she can use this talent of hers to help the church. She can never win just by playing nice. She has to defy God's will in order to protect it. And if the nuns don't approve, they simply aren't as committed as she is to doing everything possible to give to the Lord.
The world he gave us. I shall embrace darkness as a fallen angel.
Even so, she appreciates her friends too, and winning wouldn't be possible without them. Jade's cause is honorable as well. It's not like she'd be spending the $500,000 on simple acts. Spencer asks for a cut of the million too, and is denied. He also competes for the love of the game though. Maybe he thinks it's cute that Isabel shares a like mind? Well, regardless, he'll make sure that Isabel wins because it means Hannah Roxas loses. On Hannah's side of things, Anastasia is the devil on her shoulder telling her to win the game at all costs. Benji, or Logan, tries to nudge her to do the opposite. It's a game, she should focus on having fun. No matter what the end result is, it's not a loss if the journey to get there was enjoyable. Another one of the major issues with the DC4 finale is that it has no theme. Logan's win is meaningless. Jade's loss is meaningless. There was no message behind it other than like, the white man always wins, I guess. So the theme I'm attempting to insert is Sisyphus pushing the boulder. One must imagine Hannah content. So Hannah ultimately sides with Benji, or Logan, and the two persuade Anastasia to get in on it too. Put some Mario Kart items on the racetrack, for example, and while Anastasia might not win, she'll enjoy hurling green shells at Isabel's ambulance. Of course, I don't mean this literally. I'm referring to sabotage in general, as there are many ways to sabotage your opponent in this finale. The two trios' antics end up making the finale way more difficult than intended. Near the end, when only Hannah and Isabel remain in their respective ambulances, Hannah has a slight lead. So Isabel pushes the accelerator with all her might, takes her hands off the steering wheel, and prays, "Let Jesus take the wheel." If you can forgive total drama humor in Disventure Camp, Isabel's ambulance collides with Hannah's, and both crash past the finish line. It's ambiguous which vehicle crossed the line first. Hannah crawls out of the rubble okay. Isabel too emerges from the debris. After a few moments, a mannequin rolls out of the back of Isabel's ambulance. She's met the requirements of being the first to cross the finish line and display her mannequin to Emily. Isabel Carboni is the winner of Disventure Camp Carnival of Chaos. Jade is the first to congratulate Isabel, and when Spencer attempts to follow suit, Natalia pushes him out of the way to pull Isabel into a tight hug. "Oh, I want my praise science crumbs, but writing romance is really hard," I cry. Hannah's massive friends crowd around her to make sure she's okay, but she's totally chilling. Sure, she didn't win, but she came into the game knowing nothing at all and still made it to the finale. It was a fun, unforgettable experience. Anastasia offers a fist bump, respecting how close Hannah kept it against Isabel, and she accepts. She's tougher than she looks to shrug off a car accident. So that more or less wraps up my DC4 ending rewrite. To clarify, do I think Isabel should have won? No, probably not. Jade is the best choice in my opinion, and I don't think my rewrite is the optimal or best written way to give Isabel a win either. I just wanted to put more attention on the potential that was there. Like I said before, any of the final 5 could have won in a narratively satisfying way, and I think DC4 is spectacular for having so much potential, even if the ending didn't deliver on all of it. To continue off that point, I originally planned to make 5 of these videos, each one rewriting the ending to give all of the final 5 a win. However, they're more or less just branching paths off of this one, so I'll leave the what ifs to voice under the covers. To quickly run through my favorite parts of each ending, in Anastasia Wins, the story would have revolved more around her overcoming her paranoia, and it culminates in the finale when her partner is Linda. Do or die, she's gotta trust Linda in order to win. Isabel also would have won the war in D&D, or Anastasia would have destroyed the throne as an SMT reference. In Hannah Wins, she would compete against Logan in the jury phase as a clash of the two most social players. Hannah's victory over Logan would serve as his comeuppance. All of his flipping finally caught up to him. The majority of players did not want to see him win. Anastasia's paranoia never recovers in this path either, possibly to the point she doesn't even trust Marissa. Jury's still out on that one. The point was giving full focus to the parallels and diverging paths between Hannah and Anastasia, and Hannah would ultimately defeat her in the finale. And Jade wins. Anastasia steals Jade's steal a vote and uses it in the final four, placing one vote on Jade and Isabel's stolen vote on Isabel. By having Hannah vote for Jade, Jade has no choice but to vote for Isabel to force a tiebreaker, because voting for anyone else would waste her vote and result in her own elimination. Jade winning the tiebreaker against Isabel would be to give her both more character and more adversity to overcome if she's going to win. Lastly, and Logan wins, he would have been in the jury phase against Hannah like in the Hannah wins route, except this time, this is where Logan would publicly declare that he doesn't regret any of his decisions or flipping. The jury has got to give him credit for it. He's not driveling or crying or begging for forgiveness. He's taking ownership of his gameplay and asking them to respect it. Thank you so much for watching. No matter how many views this video gets, I still consider it a success because you watched it and I had fun making it. And in the end, having fun is what really matters, right? As long as the winner isn't Diego.